What's up, guys? This is ShwiggityShwah from Otaku-Haven. Here are some very talented individuals. Introduce yourself, guys.
I am Sharece from Cerberus Productions.
My name is Kayla, and I'm from Avalon Cosplay.
My name is Kevin from Yoko's Cosplay.
And I'm Lex from FRD Props.
My name's Dirk, and I'm from Otaku-Haven.
And Andy, I'm a photographer, AG Basque.
Alright, and we all went to New York Comic Con, right, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay, now basically the real question is, what do you guys think? New York Comic Con is one of the biggest things, like, essentially the convention of New York. It absorbed smaller conventions, it absorbed, like, Big Apple Anime Fest, or whatever was happening. But what did you guys think of it this year? Kind of thing like that.
I'll go first. Everyone's quiet. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see as much of New York Comic Con this year as I have previous years due to some issues that I had with the cosplay.
Yeah.
But the system that they put in place this year of tapping in and tapping out with the strip, I thought that was great because in previous years there's been 2 to 3 hour wait outside in the absolute horrible cold or absolute horrible heat, and there was no line this year. I literally did not have to wait in line at all. The weapons check stuff went really fast. Checking in and out was relatively simple. They didn't make you show your badge to go up and down escalators like they had in previous years.
That was stupid. That was incredibly
that was the worst
awful.
thing. Like, what is that? Like, really? And, they would close off entire escalators. Everybody had to go, last year, everybody had to go up and down one escalator. And it would take 45 minutes just to get, up the escalator. So I think that was the highlight for me this year, was the ease of navigating.
The highlight was the entrance.
This year,
Seriously.
Oh, man.
This year, humanity has been restored.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Because there's like 30,000 people. Jesus Christ. Like, what was it? I remember last year when we had the cards and stuff like that, I was literally just like, I remember I threw the card to a friend of mine because we were trying to like save it or something like that. So we actually like tossed it like a frisbee behind the guy's back because, like I said, it was just dealing with everyone else. It was ridiculous. The
only bad thing about the sheer magnitude of people going, I mean, the last several years we've seen comic movies have become a big deal. So a lot of the general populace has become interested in comics, or at least in the movies, and they hear that there's going to be like the cast of Walking Dead is going to be there, and so you've got like 10,000 muggles that just like invade New York Comic Con, and they don't really understand the etiquette of not slamming into cosplayers or not jumping right in front of somebody and flashing a photo of them when they're trying to like go to the bathroom. Like, I had people taking pictures of me in line for the bathroom. I'm like, what are you doing? I'll pose for you, just ask. So,
or while you're eating, don't forget that.
Oh, that's the worst, dude. There's so many photos of me, like, shoving my face in the cafeteria. I'm like, oh my god.
What's up means there's no pics coming.
Yeah, that was, like, terrible. But, no, that's why Jason
it's natural,
Jason laughs at me when I say the highlight was the sheer ability to move around. But honestly, like, with how big it's gotten with the general populace of people, that it was nice to see a little bit of organization, because I don't know if anybody had the time I had last year where I would get stuck in hallways for an hour just trying to move.
Tons of traffic.
It's terrible.
It was out of control this year round.
Yeah, which was great. I mean, I thought it was wonderful, and it also eliminated eliminated a little bit of the crowd, because you couldn't just hand your pass to a friend and have them use the same pass you had used, because you have to tap in and out. So they verified it this year, which I thought was really great. Another thing that kind of irritates me, though, I'm glad that they implemented, like we're all saying, they implemented control, which was nice on a lot of fronts as far as feeling comfortable. Another thing that I didn't feel comfortable with, though, is how they only had one panel for features. Like for Walking Dead, for example, they're only there one day for one short period of time. So you're paying all this money. Like, God, what was it? Like $100 and something for a 4-day pass? It was outrageous. It was this outrageous amount of money. I'm going, my God, that's like more than Dragon Con, and that con is 50 times better in my opinion. But, I pay all this money, and if I want to go see the one panel that is an interest to me. I have to wait in line. I knew a girl that waited in line for 10 hours on Saturday and didn't make it in. You know, 10 hours. I ran
That is gross.
Bathroom. Dude, she went there at 9 o'clock in the morning and just sat there all day long until the panel was like, what, at like 6 p.m. or whatever? And she just barely got in. And she said it was so crowded in there that it was like literally people just pressed up against each other. And it wasn't even really worth it, I guess, in a sense, to wait. Yeah, I know it is it's The Walking Dead, which to me is amazing, but it's like, why wouldn't they think about the fact, let's see, guys, we sold like 50,000 tickets on Saturday. Most of the people are coming because they want to see our headline stars. Why don't we have them come for like 3 panels rather than just 1?
So I also remember that there was a panel for the actual comic, the comic book, The Walking Dead, and it wasn't, I heard it wasn't even as crowded as the series The Walking Dead, AMC's The Walking Dead, I mean, which is like, I don't know, I mean, the series, I mean, the comic came first, so... Yeah,
that came out years ago.
It
was what we kind of stated before, that the people that were there this year are, like, they're attracted to the new medias that are coming out. Like, you have the new Marvel movies that just came out that probably got a lot of hype, and then The Walking Dead exploded, and I have a feeling like that was going to be another thing I wanted to bring up, is just like, does Comic-Con kind of seem like it's very big organization based, and stuff like that? Where
it's definitely an industry.
I know why they had to do that though, in order to kind of increase sales to do it so. But I remember last year, the section of the artist alley was shared with the autographers booth, and now the artist alley is in another section of the entire building altogether. And we have where they had a StarCraft friggin' video game competition, and then next to them was like the Ubisoft, and then was like the Dead Rising with Honda.
I remember that.
Yeah, exactly. Which is a really awesome van. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, it was awesome, but also, I mean, I feel like the reason that didn't quite happen this year is because there's certain people, they want to go and they want to buy their comics. That's what they want to do. That's the point of Comic-Con, is to go find these comics that you really aren't going to see most of the other time unless you're going online, and face-to-face you feel more secure. I'm going to feel more secure if I'm paying $200 for a back issue, but the guy's handing it to me, than if I'm on eBay. You know what I mean? Yeah. But you can't do that when there's 6,000 people screaming for StarCraft right next to you, which I'm also, a fan. I'm a Blizz, fan. I'm one of those people, sorry. Yeah. But, I want those things to be separate in separate areas. When I want to buy my comics, I want to go here. When I want to go get my art, I want to go here. When I want to do my games and my events, I want to go there. And I feel like they did really good with that this year.
Did they do really good? It was kind of all in the same room, more or less.
They made a lot of space this year. I've noticed that as well. I mean, they did a lot of renovations, which is also good, but at the same time, I kind of felt misplaced. I kind of felt lost from last year, and I was like, what is going on? Where is the landmark where we always meet at this spot?
We always meet.
It's like with our friends and everything, and the photographers and everything. So I guess, we definitely had to move to different locations this year. Each day.
I was trying to find Andy at one point in order to like I said, in order to meet up with something. I said, look for the Funimation booth. And you expect it to be like out in front though, but no, I'm being surrounded by the Ubisoft and the Ubisoft and the Nickelodeon booth is right next to me, and there's big old billboards and stuff, so you can never really get anything. Teehee.
The Nickelodeon booth is the one with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
which is radical.
Once a day.
Yeah, exactly.
They come once a day for photos and everything. That was pretty cool. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Does anybody have anything to say about the wonderful fact that they didn't tell anybody that the Javits statue was going to be gone until like 2 days before? And that's where all the photo shoots... Oh, man, that's where all the photo shoots always are. So I can't tell you how many people I found wandering aimlessly, because also where the Javits statue used to be was outside of the actual check-in for the con.
Yeah, it's that little area where they just have essentially just like a cement pit. More or less.
Right by
that was pretty much your
outside Mutant Ninja Turtle thing that he was just talking about. Right outside there is where the Javits statue used to be.
Yeah.
And I feel like, does anybody else think that they did that because they, because I don't know if anybody had the experiences that I'd had the last couple years where you gather in a group for photo shoots and the security would just like friggin' flock down on you and be like, you guys can't do this, you're blocking ways, even though it used to be a big open space where the cosplayers went.
Yeah,
So I feel like they kind of did that this year without really saying anything because they wanted to like cull the herd, so to speak, and keep. There was really nowhere to, like Derek was saying, like spread out, but also feeling displaced. I feel like they did that because they didn't want people stopping for photos because there were so many complaints about navigation and crowding last year.
Well, the only open space there was in front of the DC Superman anniversary.
Super outfits, yep.
Yeah.
Downstairs.
That was an open spot. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the 75th anniversary thing.
Yeah.
They had the thing going on. Yeah. Yeah, it's been 75 years. Yes.
Yeah,
Did anybody else not find that until Sunday, though? Because it took me until Sunday.
It's against the wall. It was where all the photo ops
I actually
were.
noticed that, like, at the first day. It was a little odd to me, but I figured that would have been the reason, the whole crowd control issue and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's always been a big issue within the last couple of cons. So it's,
Yeah,
again,
definitely.
part of the control aspect of things. I think that would be the major thing. I mean, I was surprised, but at the same time, it's like I kind of understood what was going on there.
Yeah, no, me too. I understand. It's just, I feel like the cosplay community in general, like the amount of people that went this year, I think everybody got scared because of how horribly crowded it was the last couple years.
Yeah.
So there were like a handful of people, and like everybody that was cosplaying was kind of like toned down in comparison to what they normally did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's become less about cosplay, which, I mean, makes sense. It's an industry con, you know, but still, it was,
It's more
like
about
the Marvel
biz.
costume contest. I don't know if anybody did the costume contest this year, but they were kind of a joke.
How so?
There was a lot of
I
doubles.
saw going
I've seen
on,
it.
but I didn't see like what exactly was going on. It was too crowded for me to really stop. How exactly was it a joke?
I was passing
Oh.
through. Yeah.
Well, Yaya was for starters.
Yeah, well, the judging was, I mean, they didn't even let everybody go up. That was one of the things. I'm not really huge on contests, so to speak. Like, I cosplay more for fun. I did the World Cosplay Summit last year, and that was enough. Like, I was like, okay, I'm good for the rest of my life. Like, I'm done. I'm done. But the thing was, you want to have fun and meet the other cosplayers, and the reason you go up there isn't so much like, oh, I want these super epic, $4.99 prizes. It's more so, I want to be around other people and go up there. The people that they had didn't even know who anybody was costume-wise.
Oh, dear.
They were calling out, like, guy in the red cape. It's like, what? What are you talking about,
That is.
Oh, God.
That is the worst. Oh, God.
You're like interested in this one girl. This was so funny. This was last year, but they had some of the same people. And I hate to call people out, but it's like, you know how many of us would have gone there happily for free, not even gotten paid, and gone up there and knew 90% of what the costumes were? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Make it feel more welcoming and fun, and that's like the whole reason to go there. And it was like, this girl was wearing a Phoenix shirt. I'm in a Phoenix cosplay, and she goes, Redbird. I'm like, what?
That's just like, go home. We don't want to see you again. Go to the corner. You're grounded.
I was just like, what are you doing? And like we were talking about industry, right? And like the new group of people that's come into the cons. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that at all, because I am so happy that I can be a huge comic nerd and people are like, oh, cool, I watched that show. And I'm like, wow, I'm not getting like stoned in the road anymore for wearing a Marvel shirt. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you nerd. And I don't get that anymore because the general populace has become obsessed with what we've kind of always loved. And I feel like that's not a bad thing. And a lot of people don't like it. They're like, oh, all these normies. I'm like, you know what? Yay. I can fly. I've always, like flown my nerd flag, but now I can do it without being afraid to have confrontation, which,
Especially since, like, now we're facing confrontation from other people in our social group, which is
Exactly.
ridiculous. Like, fake nerds versus real nerds. It's like,
yeah,
who, at the end of the day, who cares? Like,
do what you love. Yep.
who cares if a girl plays video games? Who cares if they like comic? Like, who are you to say, like, who are you to say, like, oh, this person can't really be a fan? Like, I remember a year ago, I posted a picture of like, I think it was like a funny picture from Big Bang Theory referencing The Next Generation Star Trek, and I love that show. And someone said, you're not a real fan unless you know the name of Data's cat. And I'm just like, I haven't gotten to that episode yet, you asshole.
Data's cat. No, you know what? That you bring up a valid point. Because I felt, like, seriously, though, like, at the Marvel booth, though, I just went real quick, I'll finish that, so I'm answering your question. The reason it felt disorganized and kind of like a joke is because they didn't tell anybody where to line up. No, everybody was lining up in different places. Nobody was there to, like, guide people up. People were walking up on stage, and they were calling the wrong names. And then they gave away all the prizes before everybody had even gone up there. So you had, like, 13, 14 people that were still standing on the other side for 30 minutes thinking they were waiting to go on stage, but it was done.
Oh, jeez.
So they had to have a second contest just to accommodate it. And then they just kind of, like, ran around and found some random prizes. I'm like, what is happening here? Like,
at least they made the attempt, you know? Like, at least, like, they realized that they were going to have so many people, though, while there was an organization to go with it. They at least did it because at least so people would have some fun with it. So I kind of like the idea that they kind of threw a new contest up, even though it was essentially just like, something like on the fly. So at least, I don't know. That's kind of nice to hear, at least on my end.
Yeah, well, I feel like, though, if you're going to announce something and make it sound one way, and then you get to an event and it's like you spend 2.5 hours of your precious con time standing there and nobody knows what is going on.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's the problem in it. It's not so much that, you know, the way that happened. It was more so the point that you're aimlessly wandering around, not knowing what is going on, and it gets so crowded there, and there's so many people, and they have like 3 workers, period.
Now,
and 500 fans.
I gotta ask the people that went to some of the panels, though. Basically, did you see that same kind of organization when you went to them? Like, did you see when we saw maybe if anyone went to the Walking Dead or the Adventure Time panel and stuff like that? Did you see that same kind of organization, guys?
I wouldn't. Nah, I don't think so.
So, like I said, so in other words, they were well done.
I never made it to the Walking Dead panel, so I can't really say.
Well, what panels did you guys actually have a chance to attend, though? You know,
and for the larger event, like the larger panels that I've been to, like weren't too bad. Like the Marvel video game panel and the Batman Arkham Origins panel. It seemed like regardless of when you got, you were going to get in. There was tons of space in there, so it was available for everyone to go to. But the smaller panels, like Funimation, ones like the Sunrise is Media, those were just like you have to be there like an hour beforehand. And being as press, I'm trying to cover as much as possible. That's impossible for me. And I'm pretty sure for a lot of other people who did press, which was, I mean, in my eyes, kind of ridiculous. But for the ones that I did make it to, again, like I said, the Marvel video game and the other ones, it was done in a very organized, timely fashion, and it worked out very well. You know, I heard other ones though were a little, not good with the people. I guess you say, I have other friends that were going through 2 different panels, and some would keep you in for roughly about, I don't know, give or take 5 to 6 hours, and they wouldn't even let you use the bathroom. And I'm just, to me, it's just a surprise that they would even do that to people who are, the condos. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but so in other words, they did. So from what you got, we keep going back to the same problem. There's just too many people, and that's never really a bad thing with a convention, because it's designed to have that many people, though. But at least for what we're getting, though, is some things were good. Some things were done. Some things were done the way they should have been done. And some things were not. Like I said, well, I mean, with a lot of the places, a lot of the organizations were either invited or they had to pay for their own space. And while there was plenty to see, I mean, Jesus Christ, there was a full roster of just people to see. And I met the art director from the old Ren and Stimpy, and he was in the artist alley. And I'm just I was talking to him about Season 1 versus Season 2, so Like, it gives the opportunity, like I said, there was an opportunity to kind of meet important people. It did kind of give those kinds of people, though, but they're being pushed off to the wayside to leave space out in the main floor for that kind of, thing. So, I know a lot of people were there with expectations of kind of getting their name out, but didn't really have the opportunity to because of this, that, and other thing. You know what I'm saying? So... Right. Okay, basically, alright, we kind of got the problems out of the way. Now, with this going on, let's say New York was far away from us. Let's say Comic-Con, let's say, like, the price is going to keep going up. It usually does with these kinds of things. Maybe not, maybe so. Would you still go to Comic-Con next year? And I got to ask everyone individually of doing so.
If we lived away from New York?
If you lived away from New York, would Comic-Con be worth going to? That's
no.
Kind of really the big question. And can you kind of give a reason why?
Okay.
I'd say no, because Comic-Con has always been my poor man's convention. Like, I traveled, different conventions like Anime Next and Otakon throughout the year, and usually my budget's blown on those. And then Comic-Con just mostly because I don't have to pay for a hotel room. So that's why it's always been like my default convention.
Oh, jeez. All right, that could always be a big thing.
But if I had to pay for a hotel, I definitely wouldn't. Especially not at New York City prices. Fuck that.
Okay. Well, for me, if it was out of state, considering what it's becoming now, I definitely don't think I would be heading back. New York Comic Con was actually the first con that I'd ever gone to, and it was kind of a stepping stone just to help me, spread my wings and get out there in the world of cosplay. But now that I basically know everybody, or I know everybody that knows other people that could help me, get more integrated into, the social aspect of it, I don't know, I feel like New York Comic Con is just way too corporate. It's not really about, the social, fun of it anymore. So, there's other conventions for that would cost, as much money, Dragon Con, I want to go to Colossal Con. So I think I'm going to save my money if it keeps getting worse from here on out and not go to New York Comic Con. I'll probably go just because I live in the same state and it's not as much money, and I know where to go for cheap deals on food and everything like that. But if it keeps going where it's going, I think I might just save my money and head to the bigger cons outside of state. It just seems more worth it at this point.
I gave you my answer before. I say when it comes to traveling from another state, I said no. The reason why, hotel, I have to work twice as hard. No, double.
Well, like I said, basically we're just kind of basically saying, is it worth the trip? Is it worth the time? If it wasn't convenient to get to, you know?
It's really not worth it, and, the amount of money, is when it comes to, okay, you're there at the con, but you're drained, and you're exhausted, you're out of cash, you're going to this panel, you're going from one spot to the next, and when it comes to stuff autographs, if you really
don't even get me started on autographs.
Yeah. Just let me explain. It's when you go when you really want to see a celebrity, when you really want to meet someone. I know it's the process of the lining, the lineups, the lines, and everything, and then when you actually get up there, when you finally realize the price, it's sort of why am I here? What's the point if I'm traveling from one spot to the next and it takes a lot of money and they're charging you almost $1,000 for just them signing their names on a piece of paper? Are you kidding me?
I think there's a reason behind it. Actually, it's considered their signature is actually considered the record company's property, and that's what they're paying for. I don't really know. But I think there's a reason they have to do it contractually.
The money,
a lot of them don't really care because they want to be able to meet their fans, though. But it ends up having to be as part of their contract that they have to do it, or they're paying.
It's the money isn't going to them. I can understand that. So who do we blame? Who do we turn to? it's like, what's the point? I mean, you get to meet them, that's cool. You get to shake their hands, that's cool. If they say you can take a photo for free, that's cool too. I mean, I took a picture of Ava Berman from Doctor Who and Torchwood, and he's a really good guy. He's an awesome guy. He lets you take pictures of him for free, and that's cool with that.
Okay, all right. I get what you're saying with that one. Okay, Andy, I think, yeah.
Well, if I was out of state, well, I'll be honest with you, I was almost not gonna go this year.
Ooh,
It was mostly because I came in as press. I mean, ultimately, the con experience is defined, I think, for me, with all the people that, that defines that the experience, the people that you're around. So it really ultimately depends if those people will be there. Buying merchandise is off and on for me. Usually, they tend to be a little more expensive than normal, from my experience. But again, like I said, that's not what I go for. And also, as the last few people say, it's the local thing. The fact that I don't have to worry about the hotel rooms and stuff like that. Especially being in New York, everything is ridiculously overpriced. So
yeah, that's most major cities. You'll go to Boston, it'll be that price too. So it really kind of depends. Doesn't make it worth it. It really
varies. I mean, Boston, yeah, maybe, but I mean, when I went to Anime Next, I didn't have to pay so much money, and or Katsucon hasn't been that bad either. It's New York. They just have their quote unquote specials where they tag another 50% on the total price of whatever. Yeah, but there's that, and one thing I don't like is, especially as a press, is the fact that they treat you like everybody else. If I'm here to cover stuff, I should have at least, let me cover that stuff, you know what I mean? Even if I don't mind having to sit on the floor and be on the side, I'm just here to capture get the content. I feel that they kind of, push aside a lot of those people. So, in my eyes, it's like, if that's how you're going to treat them, why even have press? Why even allow them in there? But overall, I mean, for the Congour, for the friends, for the social aspect, I think I wouldn't mind going.
Right. So as long as the right people are there, more or less.
Yeah, the right people are there, exactly. Whether it's friends, family, whatever, you can't be there by yourself.
No.
Because otherwise, I'd say big hell no to that.
All right, I think Sharece is the last one.
Yeah. So I lived in New York the last 4 years. I move around a lot for military. So New York Comic Con was my first con ever for cosplay and for just going to a con. So it kind of had a special place in my heart, and that's the only reason I've been going back. And like I said, the organization changes were really nice to see this year. But I started going to a lot of cons, and I've seen all the different types. And New York Comic Con is definitely an industry con. So if you're like me and you go to a con for cosplay, seeing friends, hanging out, more so than going to a panel or something of that nature, not the best choice. If you're looking to hang out with friends and to have a more laid-back environment and really just for the cosplay and whatnot, something like Dragon Con or KatsuCon or Otakon would be more up your alley.
Yes.
And as someone who's literally been to every prominent convention several times now, I could not give anybody a better piece of advice than go to New York Comic Con if you're like how he was saying press, and even so the way he was explaining being treated, but still it's an industry con. If you're an artist, if you are an up and coming comic book artist or an up and coming for whatever aspect of the industry, definitely go to New York Comic Con. It's a great way to. There's going to be a lot of other people there, but if you try hard enough. It's definitely one of the only places to get your foot in the door, so to speak, if you're looking to do that at a con. Not through other facets, but at a con. But if you are a casual con goer, a social person, a cosplayer, or if you want to see like maybe one or two, the prices in New York, and I know you were saying, maybe Boston's more expensive, but the hotel rooms in Boston are 4 times the size of New York, so you could fit 8 to 9 people comfortably in a room in Boston and split the price and have like $150 a person. Whereas in New York, if you have 4 people in that room, it's going to feel like you're sleeping on top of each other.
Oh.
So regardless, New York becomes horrendously more expensive. Not to mention the food, the transit, if you're not familiar with the city, like how most of us are, you're going to become lost and a little scared and confused if you go outside of the tourist trap, Times Square. And in Times Square, everything's 15 times more expensive. Yeah, you could find $2.50 pizza if you get on the subway and go, 2 avenues over, but then have fun trying to find your way back if your phone dies. And have fun trying to ask somebody for directions. They're just going to look at you like you're an idiot, like a lot of the time. New York isn't the most friendly of places in terms of, asking around. In the tourist areas, it's not bad, but nobody knows where they're going either, So, so as someone who now lives out of state, I can comfortably say that despite the fact it's my home con, or was my home con, and all of my friends were there, I mean, I didn't even get to see Kayla, not once,
Aww.
I know, I was so bummed.
Yeah, it's like all of my home friends that I specifically went there to see, I didn't even get to see half of them because it was it was huge and there's just so many people and it's so busy. So no, I would say if you are an artist or you are really keen on becoming part of the industry, definitely. If you are a casual con goer, save your money for Dragon Con. Way more worth it. 100,000 times more worth it. Even if you can't do Dragon Con, KatsuCon, even Anime Boston, anything besides New York Comic Con.
All right, I get you. It's because of that I kind of disagree with the rest of you for. It really kind of depends upon what you're really looking for, and she's kind of said it herself. I walked around Comic-Con. I didn't have a chance to look around last year. I walked around and found stuff. I found stuff I wanted to see, and I found stuff I did not know about. So it was, in terms of content, New York Comic-Con was pretty worth going to go see. Because I got to see, I got to look at this, I got to find out about these video games, I got to find out about this novel coming out, I got to find out about these new comics that these new independent artists are coming out with that look really awesome, these new things that are being designed, and these new shows and new movies that are coming out. So in terms of finding out stuff like what Andy was talking about, like if you were press, and even though they kind of treated you wrong, though, there's stuff to talk about when you go to Comic-Con. Like, there's definitely stuff to see and stuff to find. So that's why I think it's worth it. However, agreeing with everyone else, I only saw my friends for like a quick minute. They had to go off to a panel. They had to go off and do other things. They had to leave the actual site to get food that were decently priced. So... I'm not even gonna repeat it. Just basically it just kind of for me it depends, but it was worth it for what you wanted to see and what you're looking for. That's
you can also find a lot of that stuff online on the media sites. All of the press that go there release it almost immediately though. So if you don't want to spend all the money and you don't want to deal with the horrendous amount of stress, you can always find it shortly after, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, of course. There's going to be a million people talking about everything. I mean, those things are always going to be popular. No matter what we say, it's going to be popular. People are still going to go.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Which I don't think you should ever dissuade people from trying it.
Of course not. There's still things worth going to.
But Dragon Con.
Oh, jeez. We'll get to that when we get to it. All right, anyway, like I said,
I got a real quick question for everyone. How are your phones when you got home? You had a lot of unanswered calls.
I was fine. I don't know what anyone was talking about, but my AT&T service worked fine.
I'm sorry, but way better than the previous years. Way better.
They got a new mobile hotspot, I guess.
I didn't feel like I had entered the, Twilight Zone or something. I mean, I didn't get a good 80% of them, but at least I got that other 20%. You know what I mean?
Yay.
The years before, you literally had to walk 4 blocks away from the convention center to even get your phone to turn on. It was, so still sucked, but better than before.
Better than Logan says, better this way.
Last year, I couldn't even think about taking out my phone without getting stopped for photos and cosplay. This year was fucking fantastic because I had a full-headed helmet, so I was able to keep it on inside of my helmet, and I could talk with people on the phone and not be bothered with oh, hey, can we get a photo? I'd be like, sure. Strike the pose and still hold my conversation.
What are you just being fancy?
Yeah, come on now.
Also, the fact that with the full on helmet, I was also able to make faces at people and nobody could tell the difference.
I know those feels. Until the flash makes your face show through the visor, and then you find dark photos of yourself.
Oh no, I hate those.
With a 5% limo tint on the visor. You can't
Jeez.
see shit even with the flash.
Oh man.
I got lucky.
Alright guys, we're gonna call it a little bit. Alright, I'm basically like I said, that was New York Comic Con. I'm Jason ShwiggityShwah Schofield with Otaku-Haven. Everyone give out for chat your names if you don't mind.
I want to play Pokemon.
Oh yeah, everyone play the Pokemon, like I said. So like I said, we're out of time, so we're gonna get out of here. Like I said, thanks a lot guys, I really appreciate everyone joining up and giving your 2 cents in. We'll be trying to picking and choosing some different topics over the course of the coming months. Maybe we're talking some more conventions that are coming up. All right? Like I said, thanks a lot, guys.
Bye.
Peace out.
Yeah.
Later.